According to Director of the NIS, Dorset Cromwell, Grenada is far behind in implementing sustainable measures to keep the NIS afloat. Addressing the gathering at the St. John's Anglican School, Cromwell says at the moment there are key factors affecting the scheme. They include a low birth rate, the number of workers, migration and productivity. He says most significant is that of Grenada's low birth rate.
Many years ago, in Grenada, total fertility has fallen significantly, meaning whereas in the 80s and the 70s, women in Grenada was having 6, 7, and 8 children, women now are having 1 and 2 kids. So it means you have fewer and fewer persons coming into the labor force, fewer and fewer persons contributing to the NIS, and therefore fewer and fewer possible income.
Figures from the NIS show that from 1983 to 2017, the scheme paid out $707 million in benefits. The scheme also boasts that its reserve grew from $4.1 million to $967 million in 2017, more than any financial institution. However, it says based on the 12th actuarial review, these gains will be short-term if some measures are not implemented. The NIS says the report predicts that by 2022, total income would not be sufficient to cover expenditure, and that by 2035, the reserve will drop to zero if the recommendations are not implemented. This, they added, would see a contribution rate of 22.5%, which would then lead to a pay-as-you-go fund. The actual review summary is recommending an increase in the retirement age to 65 over 16 years and a contribution rate of 2%.
When the reserve falls to zero in 2035, if we continue to do nothing, the contribution rate just to meet day-to-day expenditure will increase to 22.5%. This is the reality. It is not we at the NIS that says that. It is not the management of the NIS that says that. It is the recommendation of the experts after they would have reviewed the fund, after they would have done all of their analysis.
Director Cindy St. Bernard, in her presentation on NIS investments, says contrary to beliefs, the government does not owe the NIS.
In 2015, when the debt was restructured, we did not receive a haircut as most of the other investors would have. The board, and I think we have to be proud of the National Insurance Board, who stood up and decided that we are not going to be accepting a haircut because it's the investments of pension funds. We are trustees of the fund, and we cannot come to the people and say the government decided to cut the debt in half. So we did not suffer a haircut as most other investors would have. And since that time, all payments due from the government has been paid up in full. So the government is not owing the National Insurance Scheme for its investments or its contribution.
It says if the recommendations are implemented, the pensionable age would rise by 1 year every 3 years with the option to retire before the established time. If the early retirement option is taken, there would be a 6% cut in pension. The NIS says following the consultations, they would then lean on government for the final recommendations on the way forward. Eugenia Peters, GBN News.